Hello, welcome back to the Situation Corner with me as always, Elizabeth Zipporah Akol. And today I have Claire. She is a very passionate person with media. She's also a person that is venturing into health. But I'm going to let her introduce herself. However, for today's topic, we are going to talk about the sex offense bill. How about that? Let her first introduce herself before we get into our topic. You're welcome, Claire.
Thank you so much, Madam Zipporah, for introducing me. I'm very privileged to be hosted here at Faraja Digital TV. My name is Claire Nasasra. I'm a journalist who's passionate about health, and I'm also a show host of Black Mental Health Matters, which is a global movement that showcases mental health problems of people of African descent globally. We are trying to find solutions to all these problems. So when Zipporah said I should come here to discuss with her sexual offences bill, I felt there was a mental health aspect in it, which is why I'm privileged to be here to discuss it further. Thank you.
Well, I am so pleased that you honored my invitation. So, to kickstart off, the sexual offences bill was first brought up in 2019, bringing out all these different aspects and putting in place guidelines or strict laws that people have to follow, or also bring in an aspect of the punishments that they'll have to receive when they undergo or when they practice these sexual offences, all throughout to both genders, be it to a man, to a woman, also to children. However, earlier on during the week, we found that this bill made up an appearance. And the parliament came into a heated discussion of this particular sex offense bill. However, now to our own understanding, since we want to bring in a youth perspective and a mental health perspective, we want to touch a few things in line with that. For starters, let's start with consent of sex. Okay. When you follow the clause 36, it says, notwithstanding that a person has consented to performing a sexual act with another, he or she may withdraw such consent at any time before or during the performance of the sexual act. Meaning, to break it down a little, when you are having sexual intercourse and you have really said yes, you have consented to it, in the middle of the sexual intercourse, you'll find that you're not okay with it. So the bill says, or the act says, you are given the privilege to say no, get off, no, can we stop? So as a mental health advocate, what do you perceive of this?
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that. For starters, I think if I, Claire, I consent to some person to have a sexual intercourse with them, and we are in the act, or maybe we are going into the act, and then somewhere that I realize, I don't want to do this. Well, yes, it's my right to go into having a sexual intercourse, and it's also my right to let go. But in the aspect of mental health, when we consent to sex, our minds are now being controlled by our sexual desires. So all we think about is sex. So at a moment where I withdraw, I withdraw, the other person will have issues to redirect themselves to something different. Because ideally, their program was about having sex. So now it's going to be something that's going to be different. And of course, like it is human nature, we program, we have things we put in place, we have things we need to do, we have things we have timetabled, Sure. So ideally, when I say I'm not going to do this, the other person is going to be put in a state of confusion, By the time they come back to normal, it's going to have maybe, it's going to have impacted their way of thought, their way of action, and their way how they were supposed to be doing their thing. So even if I knew after sleeping with Claire at a particular time, 30 minutes later I'm supposed to be probably at Faraja Digital TV doing this. At that moment, of course, when Claire says, I'll not run to Faraja, no. I have to first put myself in order. That is time wastage,
So let me try to get this straight. Are you trying to say the act of withdrawal really disturbs one's mental health?
Yes.
And then if it disturbs one's mental health, this act, does it mean I should not withdraw?
Well,
or in this way, if we have started having this intercourse and per se, I don't feel like doing it no more, should I consider the person's mindset before me saying no, or should I?
Well, the thing is, if I should take you back a little bit, having sexual intercourse is actually good for our minds.
Okay.
It's very good for the way we reason out things. That's why if you find couples who have good sex, if a woman gives a man good sex, these people are going to have a happy relationship. That's true. It's not debatable. It's true. It's a reality. But if you find this couple where a woman does not give the man what he wants, it's absurd. The relationship is not going to be. That's why men go out to find these other people to satisfy their sexual desires. There's a reason as to God created sex. It's not a matter. It's not shame to have sex. We are all products of sex. So before you become selfish with your own self, say, I have withdrawn. Yes, I will say yes. Consider what is my other party thinking. What are they thinking? How will they go about all these things? Because this is something which is between two people. It's not all about you. It's not all about me. It's about us. We discussed it because I have not come to rape you. You consented to it for God's sake. Why should you tell me to withdraw after your consent? Why?
However, I think we should also consider the mental health of both. The moment I decide to withdraw, my mental health could be, I don't know, distorted. I could be thinking of something else. I could be stressed, and I don't feel like continuing with the act. So what way forward can we as young people in such a situation try to find that both parties are at a good angle or in a good place, be it withdraw or without withdraw? Because you'll find that I am going to withdraw trying to think about my partner. However, is my partner thinking about me? And then also, if I'm putting them first, how about my personal mental health? Am I okay? The fact that I decide to withdraw, it means I am not mentally fine.
Now to answer that, you see, in situations where someone withdraws, it means there was no relationship between those two people. That's the first thing. Because if there was any kind of relationship between me and the other person, it means I will not have issues doing what? Going through with a sexual act. But the fact that maybe I was doing this for gains, it has maybe say financial gains, or maybe you expect employment somewhere, but along the way you felt, you asked yourself, is it guaranteed that if I slept with so and so, I'm going to get employed here? Or is it guaranteed if I slept with him, is he going to give me the money that I requested for? Yeah, because there are reasons why people withdraw consent. And those reasons are mostly negative reasons. They are never positive. Because if, for example, I don't see a reason as to why if I have a boyfriend, he's my boyfriend, we've been together for some time, I wouldn't see a reason as to why if I've considered sleeping with him, I wouldn't see a reason as to why I should decline the consent a few minutes to the act or during the act itself. Yeah, so majorly, the reasons as to why people withdraw these consents are majorly negative. There are reasons that do not add up. There are selfish reasons, if I may say, right? Selfish reasons. Selfish reasons are not good, obviously. That's why I'm bringing a mental health perspective. If you're selfish to this other person, it means you're also selfish to your own self. Because sex is not a man's thing, neither is it a woman's thing. It is
two-way.
It is a two-way thing, yes. We all benefit from the sex. It's not because the other person has inserted, I do not feel the sweetness. No. It's a two-way thing. We all benefit from it. We all enjoy it. And in the long run, I mean, we are all human beings. We are all products of sex. So, I mean, to me,
Welcome back to the Situation Corner. For those that are just tuning in, this is the Situation Corner where we bring in the youth perspective of a number of issues happening in the country. So earlier on, before we went for the short commercial break, we had mental health journalist's opinion on the consent for sex. Consent for sex, that is under the clause 36. In this very bill that the parliament was debating about last week on Monday, they said whoever is caught purchasing a sex worker is going to either pay a certain amount of money or go to jail. What do you perceive of that?
Thank you so much, Liz. Most people are doing sex working are not there because they want to be there. Situations are forcing them to be in that place, situations like unemployment, first of all, are forcing those people to do sex working, to get money for survival. Let us, if we had jobs for these people, because most people are doing sex working, also are actually university graduates.
The youth.
Yes, they have degrees, they are looking so hot. They're so cute, exactly, so cute. But waking up in the morning and find yourself selling your body for 20,000. It's not their plight. They don't find pride in it, but they're doing it because of survival. So when someone says you're going to imprison them because they're doing sex working, I feel maybe you should get a law that governs their kind of work, but not imprisoning them. Because ideally, you end up imprisoning all the university students that you have in Uganda.
Well, in this case, they intend to imprison those who are caught purchasing, like, you know what? I need to have sex with you.
Yeah, if you are going to imprison someone who's purchasing, it means you're also going to imprison someone who is selling, right? Because there is no way you're going to take someone who's purchasing and you leave whatever they are purchasing. Because they are purchasing a human being to go and have sex with them, So it means also the other person, there's a likelihood that they are going to take her where? To prison, That's why this act needs to, I think to be a little bit brought down to a layman's understanding. They're using too much, I think, words that are mixed up, that are not easily understood. So the fact that a man, because by the time a man also buys someone out, because most times these men who buy prostitutes are married men, it means they don't have peace at home. Or maybe the other thing we discussed prior to the break of withdrawing the consent during sex. Or maybe the woman withdrew consent and then the man was like, no, I want to satisfy my sexual desires. So instead, these things are intertwined into each other.
True.
Yeah, this one you withdraw consent during a sexual act, and then the man is like, why the hell? Why did I marry you? Because if you went ahead, that would be rape. And if you raped her, it means also that one is a sexual offense. So idea, you see, this act is actually now engulfing men's freedom to have sex. What about the women? Is that something? Because when you read through this act, you find that men are at the other side of imprisonment. Everything is pointing at men. But what about the woman? Are we so righteous that we cannot get imprisoned? Because me too, I can go and rape a man.
But those are cases that are never really brought out into the open.
Exactly, but they are there. Not being brought does not mean they are not there. They are there. But you see, now these people are pushing the man into the wall, to an extent that you have to approach a woman. I don't know in which way, because even there are some that said gestures. You are not supposed to send a woman this kind of text telling her how much you love her, how much you need her, how much you want to buy her. How will men woo us who are not married, for example? How? Are we going to stay unmarried because men are not allowed to use gestures?
No,
yes.
You've also brought about the gestures. I mean, what do you perceive of it? How best can a man approach a lady, or how best can a lady approach a man without gestures? Because let's put it in the common understanding. The youth of today, not all of them are that confident to approach a lady. Not all of them are that confident to say yes to a man. But this bill also says gestures are not good. These gestures could really land you into a whole lot of trouble. Really, what do you perceive of that too?
For starters, I feel like these people do not want us to get married. That's
The young generation not to get married.
Yes.
Okay.
Secondly, when you look at it in a PW's perspective, for example, looking at people who have a hearing impairment, both sides, female or male. Let me first start with the males. If a boy has issues with his hearing problem, he has a hearing loss, it means the only way he can get to this woman is by gesturing, by coming to, and I'm like, hi. You get it? Yeah, like, I have got, maybe I'm going to point at your breasts and say they look good, you know? But then in this bill, they say when you point at someone's breasts, it means you are sexually harassing them, you know? So how will this person be able to get involved with another person so that they can co-create? How? You see, these are things that were not thought about before. This, I don't know whether, I don't know what Honorable or both was all about, but whatever there is, I think they need to contextualize all this thing. Because it's hanging, it's leaving some people hanging in there, you know? So even living alone, people living with disabilities, even the normal people. Yeah, like men prefer looking at you, and you know, someone can see you and they smile. That's the way they vibe.
And according to the bill,
yes,
it is not
yeah,
right.
you're not allowed to smile. So actually, I was wondering, if a man's going to vibe you, should he first ask you, oh, Claire, may I vibe you? So that after I consent, they can go along and vibe me. I mean.
But then if we go along...
But even that is also going to put them into trouble by asking me to vibe me. It's also sexual assault, you know? So
true.
Everything they're going to do is... So it means men no more marrying, women no more getting married. So no more co-creation in Uganda. That's what it is. Yes.
That is your takeaway. They just don't want us to get married.
Exactly.
Really? Okay, so we would love to know of what you think. What are your perspectives of this bill in line with the youth, in line with PWDs, in line with mental health? Well, we have come to the end of this episode. Do you want to say something to the youth out there? Basically following this bill.
Oh yeah. To the youth who are watching, I guess if the president signs this act of parliament as we call it right now, it will be a law, which means you have to abide by it, by whatever it says. So I would say two or three things. First of all is let it not scare you. Go ahead and vibe your people, the people you want to vibe. Yeah, obviously, there's no way you're going to cut off your hand because, you know, even the Bible says, if a hand lets you sin, cut it off. If the eye lets you sin, cut it off. But how many of us have cut off plucked out of our eyes and cut off our hands? None of us. But we sin every day, you know. In the Catholic Church, they tell us, even within by thought. So which means I'm supposed to get my mind out of my head, my brain, and put it out there, you know. If I'm sinning with it. But I have never done that, you know.
Yeah.
So the thing is, yes, I'm not a person who's against the laws or who tells people they should go on and break the laws. But I'm telling you, do it consciously. That's point. Do it consciously because you need to continue living on with your lives. No matter what happens, you have to continue living on with your lives. Then secondly, you need to put your mental health into perspective. May being a mental health month, I think all these things are, if you're going to have a sexual intercourse with someone, that you have a relationship with that person. You don't have to wake up today morning to go and have a relationship with a person who has promised you a job, because you're not guaranteed they're going to do what? To give you the job, you know?
True.
You're not going to sleep with someone like I read someone on social media, she had a problem, and this person told them they won't give them the 1 million. But that's after sleeping with them, you know? So, I mean, that's why all these things come in, because yes, you have slept with a person, but how sure are you that after sleeping with them, after satisfying their sexual desires, they're going to give you the 1 million? So you see, along the way, after you have consented, those thoughts come in because you do not actually allow yourself to think prior to action. So when those thoughts come in, that's when you withdraw, you know? And when you withdraw, like I said earlier on, this affects your health, you know, in one or the other. Because ideally, if a man has erected, the fact is, if he does not come, he's going to get problems. These problems include back pain, which might even be a forever problem, you know. So ideally, I think we need to always think through our actions before we implement them.
Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of the Situation Corner. Now, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. That is Faraja Digital Television on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. Subscribe on YouTube. Check out our different episodes and our different shows. For this very particular episode, we'll also want to hear your views, comments, and opinions on this particular bill. Keep tuned. As always, Elizabeth.